welcome to the Fractional CMO Podcast. My name is Simon Dell. I'm the CEO of CMO. We are I'm going to say we're the world's biggest fractional marketing network, because I don't think anyone can argue with me on that one. And quite frankly, if they do, more than happy to have that argument. We are here with Caroline Warnes. So before I do a few more sort of housekeeping, Caroline, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm so good. How are you, Simon?
I'm excellent. So
It's good.
if anyone enjoys listening to us today, and hopefully they do, then please go and rate us or review us either on wherever you're listening to your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever other channels that you get your podcasts that we're listed on. Please give us a review and hopefully a 5-star rating. If you want to find out anything more about us, CMO, it's CMO.com. That's spelled CEMOH.com. We are based in Australia. There's a few people who do listen to us from overseas, so thank you. If you want to email me, simon@cmo.com, or find me, Simon Dell, on LinkedIn. Pretty much the same for Caroline Warnes. I don't know whether there's that many Caroline Warneses out there.
There's one in the UK who is a vet and writes children's books. I don't know if it's the same person, but there's at least one more. So I'm not the vet. Yeah.
I've said this many times. There's a Simon Dell in the UK as well who takes photos of small animals like mice.
Something about the animals.
Weird setting. There's one in Southeast Asia who runs hotel chain. He's doing very well for himself. I sometimes think I might pretend to be him one day.
Perfect scam, yeah.
And there's another one who actually lives in Brisbane who bizarrely is the boyfriend of an ex-client of ours. And I have met him a couple of times and he's a lovely guy. So
could get awkward though.
I said to my ex-client, don't send the wrong text message to me.
Recall email. Yeah.
Caroline, talk to us a little bit about your background and what you're currently doing now, just so everyone understands why the hell you're here today.
Good question. So I run a very small agency called Only Good Content. We're based in Sydney. I started it way back in the heady days of the COVID pandemic, when I had been working in-house in marketing, comms, brand, media type roles for a couple of decades at that point, and decided I wanted more flexibility in my life. And there was also a gap in the market at that time. This was pre-ChatGPT, if you can remember those times. There was a real gap in the market for good content at the time. So I decided I can do good content. So I'm going to, leave my secure in-house senior role in the federal government and start my own agency and help B2B agencies say better things more clearly, which is our tagline. And here we are, nearly 5 years later, and have survived the ChatGPT disruption, still helping B2B companies say better things more clearly. Awesome.
So what sort of clients are you working on at the moment? What's the, obviously you can't tell me who they
Name
are.
drop.
What
Yep.
sort of stuff are you doing?
I have a really diverse client book. So I started out focusing more on sort of like ASX listed companies, because they've always got a need for extra support. So I have a good solid base of ASX 100, ASX 200 clients, but I also diversified over the last couple of years in particular, more to working with sort of smaller companies, founders, startups, and even some, leaders who are looking for help with their personal brand. So I do a big range of work, and it keeps things pretty interesting for me.
Okay. What do you like the most? Like, I mean, it's great doing a range, and I think we've all done a range in our time. But what's the stuff that when it comes across your desk, you go, oh, I'm excited by this?
So I'm actually quite nerdy. So I was trained as a writer. I was originally a journalist, so I've always loved writing, but now I love solving problems with writing. So I get really excited about stuff like, other people would just laugh at it, like, supply chain logistics and digital infrastructure and stuff that's really quite complex. And I like being able to turn that for a customer into, like, one of my clients for something that will land with their customers. So it's not about writing the technical specifications. It's about creating a journey and a story that will land with someone who is going to buy those very complicated products and solutions.
Okay. So look, we're going to talk about content from two perspectives today. I think the first one from I think the first one would be the easiest one from the fractional CMO perspective. I've always said that if you can't write, you shouldn't be in marketing. That doesn't necessarily mean you enjoy writing, because some people enjoy it, some people find it incredibly laborious. But if you're starting out on that fractional CMO journey, are you suggesting, or do you suggest that they're using copywriting, telling stories to promote who they are, and how are they doing that? What's the, I think a lot of people
Yeah.
want to do that, but they don't really know where to start.
It's you've touched on something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, which is the whole question of personal brand, and that matters whether you're starting out as a fractional resource or whether you're more sort of developed in your leadership journey. You do need to have your personal brand that you're presenting to the market, and written content is one way to do that, but it's not the only way to do it. Some people prefer video, some people prefer different ways of presenting to the market, and thankfully these days, you don't actually, if you're a marketer with some skills, you may not be an expert writer, but you've probably got enough to work with if you can tap into ChatGPT and use that as a base to start developing some content to promote yourself. So, like particularly in the fractional space, you've got to be on LinkedIn and you've got to be visible and providing something to your prospective clients, whether that be videos or written content or whatever feels comfortable for you. But you do have to be visible in some way for sure.
And where are you suggesting that? I mean, obviously LinkedIn, everyone has this love-hate relationship with
Kids who don't know.
LinkedIn.
Yeah. Me too.
But where else? I mean, what are the other options sort of beyond LinkedIn?
I mean, if you're pitching for work as a fractional and you're in the B2B space, LinkedIn is the platform to be on from a social perspective. I also strongly believe that you really need your own website as well. So I know some people
Yeah.
skip this step and they just don't treat themselves as a brand. And that can make things a little bit difficult down the track because social platforms, the algorithm changes all the time. You have no control over what's going to happen. So you have to have a space for your own media. I was quite clear when I started my journey that I was going to present as a brand from the start rather than just being a freelancer kicking around or, a resource for hire kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I think if you want to take yourself seriously in this space, it's worth it doesn't have to be a really complicated website with lots of bells and whistles. It just needs to be something that expresses who you are and what you can do and the value that you present to the market for sure.
Look, one of the other channels that I think is vastly underrated, maybe not underrated, underutilized, I think is probably the right word, is writing for other people's channels as well.
Sure, yeah.
So, you mentioned about having your own blog, that if you're building up a network of contacts and friends and things like that in the business space, one, I think a powerful opportunity is to sort of say to your good, work contacts, hey, can I post a blog on your website?
100%. Yep.
As long as it's related to, if you're in marketing, you're going to go, well, I'm not going to write a marketing blog about and put it on a law firm's website because,
No. It's
but,
right
but
channel for the right content. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but unless you can write something where you go, how can I write about marketing on a law firm's website so that the people looking at the website will find it useful and validate its reason for being there. So
Yeah.
I think if you can, not just other people's websites, but third-party media channels, anywhere you can sit there and go, hey, this is going to give me some
Reach.
visibility, yeah,
Yep.
beyond
Yep.
my normal visibility.
Correct, which is actually what we're doing now, right? So
Yeah.
it's, and so it is, it's absolutely, it's credibility, it's reach. So when someone who has a credible presence in the space that you're operating in, such as yourself, when I come on to your show and talk to you, then the people that you're connected to go, oh, okay, so if Simon thinks Caroline's credible, then she must be credible.
Yeah.
It really is just, kind of tapping into human psychology in that way. And you do have to be very careful, I think, and you sort of touched on it, making sure that the content is appropriate for what you're trying to do. So you don't want to be on every channel. That's like a fool's errand, and you'll spend all your time pumping content out into a universe that's not even listening to you. Identify where you need to be and who needs to see it, and then match the content to that. And if you're short on time and resources, be very targeted about it.
There's a couple of good examples where we've produced content for other channels, and I think has helped us massively. Well, certainly the first one, we were approached I was approached a good 8-9 years ago to write for MyOb, the accounting software.
Yep.
And they said, hey, we want someone who's willing to submit some articles about marketing in our sort of, they had an area for business owners that would, advice and all that sort of stuff. So we did that. And of course, the knock-on effect was obviously a lot of people got to see who I was and who we were at the time. But the other important thing was, it was fantastic from a search engine optimization perspective, because we got a link back from their website to our website. And then also around about the same time, I got approached by a magazine in the jewelry industry, imaginatively titled
Man of Many Talents.
Jewelry Magazine. And they came to me and actually said, we really like your content. Would we be allowed to use some of your blogs and repurpose them for our print magazine? And I was like,
sure.
Go for your life.
Did they pay you for it?
No, they didn't.
No.
They were just basically, I get an email once a quarter. They say, "Can we use this? Can we use this?" And I go, "Yeah, go for it." But my profile's on there. There's about a little bit about the company and a link to the website. So I'm like, for the sake of me saying yes or no, I'm just like, all of a sudden we've got thousands of other people looking at our content that we didn't have.
Yeah,
before
and it's an easy win. Right, it's an easy win. It's not like you're producing new content. So, I mean, like not every outcome has to be a financial outcome. That was a different type of commercial outcome around visibility and reach. Yeah.
So if you're working in that fractional CMO space, I guess the next question is like, obviously there's all these channels and things like that. What are you writing about? Because the two-part question, slightly loaded the first part for the second part. We were having this discussion the other day. Hasn't everything already been written? Like, aren't we just regurgitating something someone else has already written?
Yeah. Well, they say there's only like 12 original plots in the world in terms of fiction. So every fiction book that has been written is just a rehash of Romeo and Juliet or Othello or whatever. But look, there is a lot of, and we are absolutely, because of AI, we're in the age of just content saturation. Like there is so much content out there on every single topic you can imagine. So what we try and do, like what my job is specifically in the space that I work in, it's often about, rather than it being about just producing content for content's sake, it's about supporting a process for buyers. So when you're have a complex buying process, which a lot of my type of clients do, like it takes a while to get from here to here. It can take 12 to 18 months. You can't just like make them aware of you up here and then do nothing for 18 months and expect them to buy your products and services down here. It could be like, 6 or 7 figure purchase. So you've got to support them for that 12 to 18 months on we call it the customer journey. And the way that works is with like rich content that is increasingly more targeted to them and more tailored to them, which we can do more of because we have the tools to personalize that content more. So these days we're able to produce insights that are, really targeted to the different people on the buying committee. So there might be content that's specific for the CFO in the organization. There might be content that's specific for the CIO. And then you can make that personalized across a range of organizations. So it's not just about having new ideas. It's about having ideas that are targeted towards different types of people at that point in time too. So it's a combination of timeliness, relevance, all those sorts of factors.
I think that's a massively important thing for people to remember, for fractional CMOs to remember, is that often your employment or your engagement is governed by decisions from maybe 2 or 3 people. It's not just the
Minimum.
CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing a podcast soon about how we think our accountants are our enemies.
Yeah.
But I'd ask you the same question: is the CFO our enemy?
They often frequently are, because
Mm,
marketing is a cost center and it's always the first one to be cut when times are lean. So even
mm,
though it's arguably it shouldn't be, because that's when you need to invest in a function that fuels the growth engine of the business. But I mean, the way you mitigate that risk is exactly what you said. You have to be able to speak to them about the benefits that you can bring, but you only do that by speaking their language. Like CFOs don't want to hear things in really general terms. They want to hear about things they care about, like cash conversion cycles and forecasts and all that sort of thing. So you don't have to give them an annual report, but you do have to give them something that's relevant.
yeah, they always, yeah. I mean, their question. I mean, we just had a client sort of cut their budget because the accountant turned around and said you're spending too
It's
much money on
happening.
marketing,
Yeah.
and we turned around and said, pardon my French here, but what the fuck does the accountant know about what marketing is going on? It's just they only see a number, and they see
Yeah.
an expense number on the expense line or on a couple of
And
lines.
it's not a profit center. They see it as a cost center, but rather than being a cost center, let's call it an investment center, and have clear metrics about what the activity is that you're doing and how it
Mm,
links to the commercial outcomes. You're never
yeah,
going to be out there generating direct sales, but you are contributing to a pipeline. So you've
yeah.
got to find ways to be creative to demonstrate that, for sure.
From a then from a So now let's look at this from a CEO perspective, right? So,
Mm.
maybe writing is not your forte here, but one of the things we spoke about in previous podcasts is this idea that the CEOs or the leaders of businesses are becoming the brands themselves,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
more so that you are your own brand, and that your success and failures will be governed by your ability to present your own brand to the world, which we've been taught, um, you know, which we've been told in the last 4 or 5 years, especially with the growth of sort of influencers and things like that. But now I think this is much more seeping into the business world, the B2B space, the
For
corporate
sure.
world, the
Yep.
enterprise world, where as a CEO, it's important that you have, your own brand above and
Brand. Yep.
beyond that of the company. So, from a CEO's perspective, how are you growing your brand using copywriting, using content?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think there's a specific reason why this is happening at the moment. And again, it comes back to the discussion around AI and oversaturation of content. So there's a big discussion happening in a lot of quarters at the moment about trust and what you can and can't trust in the world. And I think when people are picking up on content that is very obviously machine generated, it has no human touch points or fingerprints, that raises questions around, is it
Yeah.
fundamentally trustworthy? So if your brand is pumping out just faceless content at scale and there's no human involved in it, you might get you will definitely get the initial results around, like, interactions at the top level. The other bots will like that content, like they will, interact with that content, but the humans who are making buying decisions are going to probably take a step back and say, what's actually happening here? So I think you're right from a leadership perspective, and this includes all sizes of companies. It
Mm,
includes small consultancies like me, and it includes
yeah.
big companies as well. You need to have, you need to be able to present your face in the world. It doesn't mean that you need to be showing everything that you're doing. You don't need to be showing what you had for breakfast on social media. That's not what this is. But you do need to be able to, in some way show that you are able to authentically engage in the public space. So whether that's regular posting on LinkedIn, it might be some photos. If you're brave enough to do videos, please try videos. I I'm all about
Yeah.
doing videos in different
Yeah.
formats at the moment. But if it's just endless reams of faceless content, trust me on this, your buyers will be turned
Mhm.
off during a
Yeah.
very long process. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's hard because look, I think the two important things I always take out of this, and I say to other business leaders is number one is that that brand, your own personal brand, build that, and for God's
Yeah.
sake, try and make it individual. Use as you said, use video, use copy, whatever, but just try and make it individual. I mean,
Yeah.
I keep getting told to cut my hair and stop wearing t-shirts in meetings. So,
Then we wouldn't know who you were.
exactly, I go, but that's defining me as
Yeah.
as who I am. But the other thing I think I always say to people, be interested to see where you think how important this is consistency. It's
Yes, it is. It is
just
so important.
whatever you define
Yep.
as being consistent, just being consistent.
Consistent doesn't have to mean that you're um, spamming people or being overwhelming. You just have to have a regular cadence. And once you start showing up, don't suddenly stop showing up, because that's just as weird. Like, I'm going to post every day for 3 weeks and then suddenly I'm not there anymore. It looks really suspicious. So
Yeah.
I think it's best to start with something that you can manage. So, potentially, you go, I can manage once a week on LinkedIn. Do that. Start with
Yeah.
that. See how that goes. And then you can scale up, rather than starting out big bang and having to pull it back and looking like you've completely failed on something. Yeah.
And I know we're talking content more from a copy perspective, but let's talk about content from a video perspective. I think there's also a danger that people expect it to be people expect polish in corporate videos, and
Yeah.
I sort of to me, I don't think the quality of the video is that important. What's important is the genuine, how genuine you appear on the video.
Correct. And it depends again on the channel and the purpose as well. So I do a bit of video for LinkedIn, and that is not super polished at all. Like, it's just me. I have a tripod. I just sit down and I talk like we're talking now.
Yeah,
No production values going into it or whatever. But if I was making if I was working for a client, we needed to make something that was really important going out to investors, then we'd probably need to invest in something with a little bit more polish. So it's just thinking about what's appropriate for the channel and for what you're trying to do. If I had to produce polished LinkedIn videos every couple of weeks, which I'm doing at the moment, it wouldn't happen. I just do not have the time or the budget for it. So, and like on something like LinkedIn, which is a social channel, people don't want polish. They want
yeah,
just to hear what you have to say.
yeah, absolutely. And I think once again, I sort of say to people, just start doing something. Just start doing it.
Just
Like,
start. And
yeah,
you don't have to have a huge amount of planning. Like, just post once a week on LinkedIn, commit to a day. And then the actually important thing on LinkedIn as well is that you're engaging with other people on LinkedIn. So connect with people you need to be connect with, and like their posts, comment on their posts, give a little to get a little. That's all, pretty straightforward. And it takes a little bit of time for, to get traction on social platforms in particular. So you might not see results on LinkedIn for 3 weeks, but don't stop because you're not getting results. Like, a lot of people
yeah,
stop just before they hit that critical mass.
yeah.
Keep going. Yeah. Even if it feels like you're shouting into the void, keep going.
Look, that's one of the problems with marketing per se, is that you don't start doing something on a Tuesday and start getting more leads on a Wednesday. That's not how
It's,
marketing works.
it takes a while to train any algorithm. It's a machine. So
Yeah,
whether you're on Instagram or LinkedIn or, whatever, it can take weeks or months to train the algorithm. That requires consistency, and it requires relevance and all those good things that we know about.
I tell you the other thing I think about content, and the short story on this one was that I do some videos on TikTok, and that they're fun videos. I do them on
I
TikTok.
can't touch TikTok.
No,
Yeah, I can't touch TikTok.
I do. They're what I would call brand awareness videos, right? So what I
Sure.
do is I'll record them and then I'll promote them. I'll put like $30 into promoting them, but I'll only promote them in the Australian marketplace. I won't bother. There's no point
Yep.
in me promoting them overseas and things like that. So I'll promote them just so that then there's, people might see me, follow me. I'm starting now. I've got about 3,000 followers on TikTok. I'm starting to get
It's a
people
lot.
connecting with me who are genuine business owners, I've only had two or three, but they're actually asking me business related questions through TikTok now, and I'm like, all right, that's good.
So
That's where I wanted it to get to. Then what was happening was I was taking the videos that I was putting on TikTok and then putting them on LinkedIn, because I'm like, as you would know, repurposing content, that's half of the game.
it is, yes.
And then I bumped into a guy who I hadn't seen for a couple of years, and I bumped into him in the street in Brisbane, and he said to me, he looked at me, we were having a conversation about where he was going and all this kind of thing, the usual, how's your wife, blah, blah, blah. And just before we sort of separated and he went off to his meeting and I went off to my meeting, he turned around and said, he goes, hey, keep the videos up. I think they're really good. And now, he'd never liked one. He'd never commented on one. He'd never made any acknowledgement through LinkedIn or any other channel that he was watching my videos. But
Yeah.
that was his message for me. Do you find that there's this, 5% who are perhaps actively engaging with your content, and maybe another 95% who are lurking out there?
Yes.
Just
And
yeah,
I, I think as marketers and as human beings, we're trained to sort of chase the dopamine effect. So you see a like on your content, you're like, oh my God, job done. I've been successful. But the thing that you come to learn is that likes on social media posts don't actually get you paid at the end of the
yeah,
day. Like what gets you paid is the business opportunity at the end of it. So yes, it's nice and gratifying to see all the likes, but what you really actually want is that that pattern of consistency that leads to conversations and business opportunities, because I'm all about getting paid at the end of the day. It's not just
yeah,
about having likes and shares on Instagram or TikTok. And it's what you talked about is a perfect example of, you build an audience, then you nurture the audience, then eventually you monetize the audience as well. It's a classic 3-step process. So,
it,
once
I
you've
was
done that, you're
looking at
laughing.
look. I was looking at exactly the same content that your three-stage process there.
Yeah,
It's the blueprint for pretty much every business. I was watching a video
it
earlier on
is.
about
Yep.
Uber. You create the demand, you create the audience, you grow the audience. You then next step is to
Nurture them, and
nurture
then you
them, and then
monetize them.
and then
Yep.
last one is to monetize them. I mean,
Yep.
there's an argument when you monetize them. Uber have done a terrible job in terms of the fact that now it's the same price as a taxi, that the cars are dirty and blah 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 blah. But the principle holds sway. So, but I think that's a great insight. Just to sort of finish up today, just take it right back. Is that you're sitting there going, I know I need to be. I suspect people watch this and go, I know I need to be more active with content. I know
Yeah.
I need to be producing more.
Yeah.
And Caroline just told me I have to do it once a week, and I better do it once a week, otherwise I'm a failure, and all those kind of things, right? How do you how do you how do you change that behavior so you are actually being consistent
Yeah.
with delivering something?
Well, I think like you got to then take it back from the activity. So the activity is posting once a week. The steps before that is working out what you're trying to do. So why are you posting once a week? Like who are you trying to reach? Like there's no point posting on LinkedIn once a week if you're not connected to the people on LinkedIn that you want to reach. So
Yeah.
to get started, like I'm not the biggest write a 20-page plan type person. I actually hate that kind of stuff. But just give yourself a simple one pager of like, who you need to reach, what you want them to do, what's the action you want them to do, and how realistically you can get there. Is it, maybe the first step is not to start posting on LinkedIn. Maybe it's actually to connect with people on LinkedIn that you need to be connected with, and then just start posting a little bit of valuable content once a week. Like it doesn't have to, you don't have to do it all at once. Just, do it in steps that are going to be manageable for you. But
Yeah.
it always helps to know first what you're trying to do and why, rather than just jumping into activity for the sake of it.
Look, my tip for that is that I find a lot of people find it a lot easier to talk about things than actually sit down and write things. So I think your idea
Yeah.
about video is great. But even if you don't like being on video and you want to produce content, that doesn't mean to say you can't use video. I think to
Mm.
me the opportunity is record yourself talking about a subject that you are interested in.
Yeah.
Take that recording, transcribe it, put it through ChatGPT to maybe refine it or expand it a little bit, then rewrite it, reread it, make sure it's, you can do all those things without having to be on video and without actually having to write a
You could
lot of copy yourself.
you could record a conversation of yourself with a colleague or, a peer, just like what we're doing now, and
Yeah.
have a conversation about something you're both interested in, and then go and transcribe the conversation and get 6 months worth of content out of that. LinkedIn posts aren't essays, they're insights, short, sharp insights.
Yeah. Look, thank you for your time today. Let's have the plug, the website and the LinkedIn address and all those kind of bits and pieces.
For sure. onlygoodcontent.com. It's a bit of a mouthful. That's my website. And if you look up Caroline Warnes on LinkedIn, I'm there. I'm not the vet. I'm not the children's book author. I'm the marketing content person in Australia.
Yeah, well, there's only one. I think there's only one of you in Sydney, Australia. So
there is, yes, there definitely is.
Unless you've got a sick dog, you're the one that people should be reaching out to.
Don't do that to me.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Hopefully, people have found some important,
Absolutely.
Interesting tips out of that. And I think, if nothing else, I think the thing that everyone should take from your advice today is just get started. Start doing something.
Just get started. Don't overthink it. Just get out there and do it, because you have to. You have to be visible if you want to be successful.
Awesome. Caroline, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Simon. I appreciate it. Thank you.